I'm going to tell you 3 things that, when you give them away, it's like signing an invisible contract with scarcity. And the worst part, you've probably already given away 2 of them this week, without even realizing it. And if you're here right now, it's not random. You work hard, you push yourself, you handle everything, but the money doesn't stay. Something keeps leaking. Today we're closing those leaks. I study ancient principles from Jewish wisdom in an educational and symbolic way. This isn't about miracles. It's behavior, plus boundaries, plus protection. And I've seen this change the lives of people who felt stuck for years. The first thing is your free time. When you give your time, energy and skills to people who could pay for it, you teach the world to treat you as always available. In 10 seconds, I'm going to give you the exact sentence that stops this without guilt. And be careful. While you're watching me, you might be giving away the second thing. And it's the one that keeps good women exhausted, overextended, and with nothing left for themselves. The third one? It's the most dangerous, because it looks normal. It even looks like being a good person. But it's the one that makes you poor on the inside, and eventually that shows up on the outside. Subscribe now, because every week here I show you one invisible leak and how to close it with clear boundaries, the way a grounded, serious woman does. And comment right now just to mark this commitment. I protect my time, my money, and my attention starting today. Good. Now I'm going to show you the second thing, and you're going to recognize it instantly. Before I show you the second thing, I need to give you a simple map. Because once you understand the map, you stop blaming yourself. First, if you're a woman who works, manages the house, holds everything together, helps your kids, supports your family, and still feels like the money just disappears, I want you to hear this calmly. The problem is almost never laziness. Most of the time it's leakage. Small leaks repeated over and over turn into a financial hole. And why do I call it a leak? Because it doesn't look like a mistake. It looks like being kind. It looks like being helpful. It looks like being generous. But when it happens the wrong way, you slowly lose strength, margin, and peace. Today we're going to look at 3 leaks that show up in the life of almost every woman who feels drained. The first is time, when you give energy, care, and skill to people who could respect it, but got used to you being the reliable one. The second is money, when you try to rescue someone with your own hands, and by the end of the month, you're the one barely catching your breath. The third is attention, because your attention is the direction of your day. If it stays trapped in worry, drama, and comparison, you work hard, but inside you feel weaker. I'm going to talk about this inspired by principles of Jewish wisdom, educationally and symbolically, without promising miracles. The idea is simple. Protection is not selfish. Protection is what gives your home a foundation. And now I want to tell you a short story that explains why good people suffer so much when they don't learn to protect what's theirs. When I understood this, everything shifted. I learned this lesson in a way I will never forget, and I'm sharing it because you might see yourself in it. A few years ago, a woman came to me. Let's call her Helen. She was in her 50s, the kind of woman everyone calls when they need something. Kids, siblings, neighbors, co-workers, always someone. And whenever she talked about money, she said the same thing. I don't know what happens. I work hard. I do everything right. But there's never anything left. But what stayed with me most was when she said with tired eyes, I just want to feel secure. That's it. I asked her one simple question. Helen, when was the last time you said no without explaining yourself? She laughed, like it was impossible. And she said, if I say no, they'll think I'm mean, selfish, ungrateful. And in that moment, I understood. Her problem wasn't lack of effort. It was an old fear. Fear of disappointing people, fear of losing love, fear of rejection. And that fear made her give away, a little every day, everything she should have been protecting. She gave time to people who didn't respect it. She gave money to people who promised and didn't follow through. And she gave her full attention to worry and drama until her body started feeling it in pure exhaustion. And I told her a sentence I still repeat today. Kindness without limits turns into entitlement, and limits without guilt turn into protection. She went quiet, because deep down she already knew. Her whole life she had been trained to believe that being a good woman meant emptying herself for everyone else. But no one thrives by draining their own cup. I'm not telling you to become hard. I'm telling you to become protected. Because when you protect what's yours, you stop living in constant damage control, and you start building peace. And here's the most important part. When you set a boundary, some people will complain. Some will call you cold. But over time, you discover something powerful. The people who truly love you adjust. The people who were using you fall away. Now pay attention. The first thing almost every woman gives away without realizing it is time. And I want to start there, because when your time changes, everything else starts shifting too. Let's be clear, time is money. But it's more than that. Time is health. Time is peace. Time is focus. And most importantly, it's the one thing you never get back. And when a woman learns to protect her time, she starts protecting everything else automatically. She gets her energy back. She thinks more clearly. She respects herself again. But here's the trap. There's a kind of kindness that looks beautiful, but becomes a prison. It's the kindness that says yes out of fear. Fear of disappointing someone. Fear of being judged. Fear of seeming ungrateful. And that fear is what makes you say, "Sure, I'll do it," even when you're already stretched thin. Have you lived this? Someone asks. It'll just take a minute. That minute becomes 30 minutes, becomes an afternoon, becomes a week. And in the end, no one notices what it cost you. Here's the truth. People don't say gently enough. When someone doesn't pay for your time, they learn not to value it. And when they don't value it, they repeat the behavior. Now I'm going to show you the 3 most common ways this time leak shows up. And I want you to be honest with yourself. No guilt. First, the professional favor disguised as friendship. Can you just take a quick look? You're good at this. Can you help me out? I'll pay you later. And you step in. You fix it. You do it right. And afterward you're left with that quiet feeling that you were taken advantage of, but you don't feel like you're allowed to say anything. Second, invisible labor at home. You handle what no one sees. You organize. You remember. You plan. You anticipate. You solve problems before they explode. And then you hear something like, "You don't even work that much." That creates a quiet resentment, the kind that turns into exhaustion. Third, guilt that keeps you constantly available. You're exhausted, but you respond anyway. You needed rest, but you show up anyway. You needed to take care of yourself, but you say yes. And then maybe you cry in the shower, or lie awake at night in silence, because no one really understands how much you carry. Now, before I give you the practical correction, let me tell you something that will set you free. Protecting your time does not make you mean. It makes you clear. It makes you mature. It makes you responsible for your own life. And here's the sentence I want you to remember, because it changes the game without creating a fight. I can help you, and that's a service. Would you like me to send you my rate? This sentence works for one simple reason. It doesn't attack. It doesn't accuse. It doesn't shame. It simply places your time where it belongs. And when you place your time correctly, the world starts responding to you differently. But I know, in real life, your heart might shake. So let me give you variations you can use depending on the situation. If it's someone close, someone you love, but who asks constantly, "I'm happy to help. I just need to set a time and a limit because my schedule's tight. If it's someone pushy who makes you over-explain, I won't be able to do that. I hope it works out for you. If it's someone using emotional manipulation, I understand you want that, but I can't carry that for you. And now pay close attention, because here's the mistake almost everyone makes, and it cancels everything. Mistake number 1, over-explaining. When you explain too much, you open the door to negotiation, guilt, and manipulation. A clear boundary doesn't need a speech, it needs calm confidence. You say, "I can't because," and the person responds, "Okay, but what if you just," and before you know it, you give in. The most respected no is a short no. No drama, no speech, no apologizing for existing. Mistake number 2, saying yes, and then feeling resentful. That poisons you from the inside. Because you start feeling taken advantage of, but deep down you know the truth. You gave it, you allowed it, you accepted it, and that resentment becomes a silent weight you carry alone. So I want to give you a simple, practical 3-step path. Very simple, but if you actually practice it, you'll feel the shift. Step 1. Name your time. When someone asks you for something, instead of answering automatically, ask, "How long is this going to take?" That one question changes the dynamic, because time that's named becomes real, and what's real becomes measurable. Step 2. Set a visible limit. I can help for 15 minutes. I can respond today, but only until 6 p.m. I can do this once, not regularly. A limit without a number isn't a limit. It's a suggestion, and suggestions rarely get respected. Step 3. Turn your yes into protection. Want to help? Great. But help with structure. Help with a set time. Help without abandoning yourself. Now let me gently say something that might hit close. Many women were raised to believe that love means proving you can handle it all. Handle the stress. Handle the bills. Handle the emotional weight. Handle everyone. But that's not love. That's survival conditioning. And here's what usually happens when you close this time leak. No miracle promises, just real signs. First sign, you can breathe again, because you stop pouring energy into people who don't pour back. Second sign, people change their tone with you. Some respect you more. Some get irritated. That's a filter. Don't be afraid of the filter. Third sign, you start doing things for yourself again. Simple things. Going for a walk. Taking a quiet shower without rushing. Organizing a space in your home. Thinking about a side income idea. Resting without guilt. Now, let me ask you something directly. Today, what is your biggest time leak? Family? Work? Too many favors? Fear of saying no? If you're ready to call it out, write one word in the comments: time. Because when you name it, you begin to own it. And now we move to the second thing. And I need you to listen carefully, because this one destroys the feeling of security inside a home more than anything else. It's the situation that starts with "just this once" and turns into a cycle. Let's go there. Now we're talking about the second leak, and I need you to hear this with a calm heart, because this is where guilt quietly breaks good women. This leak almost always starts with an innocent sentence. It's just this once. I'll pay you back next week. You're the only one who can help me. And before you realize it, it's no longer a request. It becomes a role, the role of the rescuer. And no one can be the rescuer and live in peace at the same time. Let me be clear. Helping isn't the problem. Helping in a way that breaks you, that's the problem. And when that happens, it's not just the money that leaves. Your sense of safety leaves. Your calm leaves. Sometimes even the respect in the family shifts. So let's bring order to this with one simple adult rule. It's either a gift or it's a loan. Never confuse the two. If it's a gift, you give it freely. No expectations. no resentment later. If it's a loan, it comes with clear terms, clear timeline, clear expectation of repayment. The suffering begins when you call it a loan, but deep down you know it's a gift. And you still sit there waiting for repayment like it's owed. That's what traps you in silent bitterness. Now I'm going to show you the 4 most common ways this money leak shows up in real life, and I want you to recognize yourself without shame. First, family members with a history of not paying you back. You lend the money, they disappear, or they make you feel small for even bringing it up. And when the next emergency hits, they come back. Because they've learned something, you always bend. Second, you cover the bill to avoid awkwardness. Groceries, medication, rent, school expenses, gas. I'll Venmo you later, and you keep absorbing these micro losses, little amounts, over and over, until one day you look at your bank account and think, where did it all go? It didn't disappear, it leaked. Third, help that turns into dependency. You help once, then again, then again. And when you try to stop, emotional pressure shows up. So you don't care about me? I would do it for you. And guilt pulls you right back in. Fourth, co-signing, putting your name on things, guaranteeing debt. This one isn't just a leak, it's a storm. Because if they don't pay, you pay, with your money, with your credit score, with your peace. And in the US, one bad cosign can follow you for years. Now let me say something clearly, but respectfully. Someone who truly loves you does not corner you financially. Someone who loves you asks, respects your limit, and looks for solutions. Someone who uses you insists, pressures, and makes you feel bad for protecting yourself. And here's the delicate part. Many women were raised to believe that being good means sacrificing until it hurts. But there's a massive difference between generosity and self-abandonment. So let me give you a simple 3-step method so you never get trapped here again. Step 1. Ask the saving question. Before giving money, ask yourself, if this person never pays me back, will I be okay, financially and emotionally? If the answer is no, then the answer is no. That doesn't make you selfish. It makes you responsible. Step 2. Create a help ceiling. Choose a number that doesn't destabilize you, an amount that, if given, doesn't steal your peace. That's your ceiling. Above that, you don't give, because without a ceiling, you become an open drain. Step 3. Use a prepared sentence and don't debate. Here's a phrase that protects the relationship. I don't lend money to family or friends because I value the relationship, but I can help in other ways. Notice what you're doing. You're not calling anyone irresponsible. You're stating your principle, and principles are not negotiable. If they push, you repeat it, calmly, no long explanation. And if emotional pressure shows up, I understand you're in a tough spot, but I can't solve this for you. Now I need to warn you about a very common mistake that keeps this leak alive. The mistake: giving money to buy peace. You give to avoid a fight. You give to avoid tension at Thanksgiving. You give to avoid being judged as the selfish one. But what you're really doing is trading today's peace for tomorrow's anxiety. Peace purchased through self-abandonment never lasts. It turns into resentment. And here's what usually happens when you close this money leak. Real, everyday signs. First sign: your money stops disappearing. Not because you suddenly got rich, but because you stopped being drained. Second sign: some people pull back. And yes, that can hurt. But it's also revealing. It shows you who wanted you and who wanted what you provided. Third sign: you start building a foundation, maybe a small emergency fund, maybe just a little breathing room. But you feel something powerful. I have ground under my feet. Now I'm going to ask you something. And this helps the channel, but more importantly, it helps other women. If you know a woman who always says, "I help everyone and end up with nothing," share this video with her. Sometimes one clear sentence feels like both a hug and a wake-up call. And if you want to commit to this step, write one word in the comments: money, because naming the leak is the beginning of protection. And now we move to the third thing, the most silent one of all. You don't even realize you're giving it away. And by the time you notice, you're exhausted, anxious, and running on empty. If you'd like, we can continue with part 5 in the same American adapted depth and tone. The third one isn't about what leaves your hands. It's about what leaves your mind. Let's go there. Now here comes the third thing, and I'm going to tell you why it's the most dangerous. Because unlike time and money, attention is something you give away without realizing it. You give it quietly. You give it in small doses. And by the time you notice, you're already tired, anxious, irritable, and carrying this heavy sense that the world feels overwhelming. Your attention is like a flashlight. Where you point that light, that thing grows inside you. Not because of magic, but because your brain starts scanning for proof of whatever you're feeding it. If you feed it worry, it finds more reasons to worry. If you feed it drama, it locks into drama. If you feed it comparison, you start feeling small, even when you're doing a lot. And here's something I see all the time in good, responsible women. They work hard, they show up, they juggle everything. But internally they live in a kind of fog. And in that fog, you make worse decisions. You spend impulsively, you lose focus, you lose energy. You hesitate to take the steps you know you need to take. So let me be direct. Attention is currency. And every time you spend that currency on negativity, you have less left for your home, your peace, and your future. Now let me show you where this leak shows up the most. First, too much news. I'm not saying to be uninformed. I'm saying there's a line where information becomes poison. You turn on the TV, crisis. You open your phone, outrage, breaking news alerts, economic panic, political chaos, tragedy on repeat. And your body reacts as if it's happening in your living room. Heart racing, mind on high alert. Then you're supposed to work, manage your family, pay bills, plan dinner, while your nervous system is in survival mode. That's not sustainable. Second, family drama that isn't yours to carry. Arguments, old grudges, endless complaints. And somehow you become the emotional support center. You listen, you absorb, you advise, and at the end of it you're drained. But nothing changes. Because many people don't actually want solutions. They want an audience. They want a release valve. Third, silent comparison. You scroll social media. Someone's remodeling their kitchen. Someone's on vacation in Hawaii. Someone launched a business. Someone has it all together. And you start thinking, why does it seem easier for everyone else? Gratitude fades. Confidence shrinks. Motivation drops. And what started as just a quick scroll turns into a quiet feeling of inadequacy that follows you all day. Fourth, complaining as a lifestyle. You know those conversations that always end heavy. Always about what's wrong, what's unfair, what's falling apart. When that becomes your normal environment, you start living in a constant, everything is hard mindset. And that mindset quietly steals your creativity and problem-solving ability. Now I know this is delicate, so let me give you a simple symbolic key, inspired by an old idea. Protecting your mind is part of protecting your home, because a home isn't just walls and furniture. A home is its atmosphere, and the atmosphere starts with your attention. So here's a practical exercise you can try, without arguing with anyone. A 7-day negativity fast. 7 days is not forever. It's a reset. For 7 days, reduce news intake, cut gossip, avoid complaint-based conversations, Limit what spikes your anxiety and observe the signs. Do you sleep better? Does your mood shift? Do you feel lighter? Do you start seeing solutions you couldn't see before? Now I know the question that comes next. But what do I do with negative people? Short sentences, because long explanations open the door to guilt. When someone tries to pull you into drama, say, "I'm focusing on solutions right now. What are you planning to do about it?" If they just want to complain, "I hear you, but I can't get into that conversation right now." If it's someone close and you want to keep warmth, "I care about you, but this topic drains me. Can we talk about something else?" That's not rude. That's protection. And when you start protecting your attention, something powerful happens. You feel like you're back in control of your own life. And here's a replacement strategy that works well. Every time you notice your attention sliding into fear, replace it with one of these 3 actions. First, 10 minutes of concrete gratitude, not inspirational quotes. Real things. I have a roof over my head. There's food in my kitchen. I handled that situation today. I paid that bill. Specific, grounded, real. I handled that today. Second replacement. 20 minutes learning something useful, something that improves your real life. Basic budgeting, home organization, a practical skill, a service you could offer, something that strengthens your earning power, not endless scrolling, something that builds you. Third replacement, 30 minutes doing something that creates order or income. Declutter one small space, review a bill, plan your grocery list intentionally, track your spending for the day, brainstorm a side hustle idea, research a certification, open one possibility. This is not about positive thinking. This is about refusing to be drained by what doesn't serve you. And let me tell you what changes when you close this attention leak. You regain clarity. You regain energy. And when you have clarity and energy, you make better decisions. And better decisions change what enters and what stays in your life. If this part resonated with you, write one word in the comments: attention. Just that. Because when you write it, you're making a commitment to yourself. Now I'm going to fulfill the promise I made at the beginning. After you stop giving what drains you, what should you give instead? Because yes, there is a kind of giving that strengthens you, and there's a kind of giving that empties you. The difference is simple. One comes from overflow, the other comes from guilt. Inspired by ancient Jewish wisdom, shared here in an educational and symbolic way, there's a powerful idea. Giving is not self-destruction. Giving is doing good with order, justice, and limits. It's not pouring water out of your own glass and hoping it somehow refills itself. So let me leave you with 3 ways to give that bless without draining you. First, give value to what you do. This is where many good women lose themselves. When you start charging appropriately for your work, when you organize your schedule, when you say no without guilt, you are giving the world a message: I respect myself. And people who respect themselves attract more respectful relationships. Second, give help the right way, structured, not impulsive. If someone comes to you in crisis, yes, you can help. But instead of handing over money immediately, give direction. I can't lend you money, but I can help you organize this. I can connect you with someone. I can sit with you for 30 minutes and help you create a plan. That's help that lifts someone up without pulling you down. Third, give generously, but with intention and limits. In many traditions, people set aside a small percentage of what comes in for charity or good causes, but always responsibly, never putting themselves at risk. True generosity doesn't come from panic, it comes from stability, and when you give from stability, even if it's small, you feel something powerful. You are not controlled by fear. And here's the sentence that sums it all up: I give, but I do not abandon myself. If you repeat that sincerely, you start giving from strength, from firmness, from protection. Now, to move this from theory into real life, I'm going to guide you through a simple 7-day reset. It's not overwhelming. It's practical, and it's designed for women who are tired of being the one who holds everything together. Because when you practice for 7 days, you don't just understand it, you feel it. And real change happens when behavior becomes habit. Ready? Now I'm going to walk you through a simple 7-day routine. And here's my only request. Don't aim for perfect. Aim for possible. Because what changes your life isn't a dramatic leap. It's a small boundary repeated consistently. Day 1. Close the time leak. Today you'll use 1 sentence and 1 limit. If someone asks you for something that drains you, I can help, and that's a service. Would you like my rate? If it's not a paid service, set a time limit. I can do 15 minutes. That's it. Today is about practicing firmness without guilt. Day 2. Close the money leak. Today you define your help ceiling. Choose an amount that does not destabilize you. When someone asks for money, use the sentence, I don't lend money to family or friends, but I can help in other ways. No debate, no long explanations, calm repetition. In other ways. No arguing, no long explanations. You repeat it calmly. Day 3. Close the attention leak. Today is mental reset day. Pick one thing to eliminate for 24 hours. Too much news. Complaint-based conversations. Social media comparison. Just one. And replace it with 10 minutes of silence, prayer, journaling, or simple grounded gratitude. Nothing performative. Nothing Instagram-worthy. Just real. Day 4. Order in your space, order in your mind. Today you choose one small area that constantly irritates you. A drawer, your purse, the kitchen counter, that pile of paperwork, your email inbox. Organize just that one thing, because constant clutter turns into mental noise. And mental noise turns into impulsive decisions. Day 5. One practical prosperity move. Today you take one step that improves your financial life, even a small one. Review a bill, track today's spending, cancel a subscription you forgot about, plan your grocery list intentionally. Transfer $20 into savings. The goal is simple. I am in control. Day 6. Generosity with intention, not guilt. If you choose to give something today, give from stability. It could be a small donation, a meal, a kind word, helping someone apply for a job. But internally, repeat, I give, but I do not abandon myself. Day 7. Review and protect. Today you reflect. What was your biggest leak? Time, money, attention. Choose one boundary to maintain for the next 7 days. Just one. Because stability is built through consistency, not emotional intensity. And here's the final commitment of this reset. If you completed even 3 of these 7 days, you've already started changing your pattern. Write in the comments, 7 days, I'm closing my leaks. Not to please me, but to remind yourself who you decided to become. Now let me close this with clarity. Today you learned something important. What keeps you stuck isn't usually lack of effort. It's leakage, time given away out of guilt. Money given without structure, trying to rescue people who won't rescue themselves. Attention given to fear, drama, and comparison. And I want you to remember this. A boundary is not coldness. A boundary is protection. A protected woman doesn't become selfish. She becomes stable. And when you are stable, you can truly help without breaking yourself. If this video spoke to you, subscribe to the channel now. Here we focus on protection, order, and prosperity, respectfully, educationally, symbolically. No empty promises. And leave one short sentence in the comments to seal it. I protect my time, my money, and my attention. And one last request. If you know a good woman who is always tired, always drained, always helping everyone else, share this video with her. In the next video, I'll show you 3 places inside your home where prosperity quietly leaks, and how to correct them with simple, practical steps. I'll see you there.